Hey guys, happy Saturday. I wanted to talk really quickly about different types of diets. Now, if you go online, there's all these diet wars going on. There is paleo and Mediterranean, vegan, carnivore, keto, low carb, high carb, all these different options for you, right? Then there's the type of person that just says, "Oh, whatever, I'll eat whatever as long as it just fits my macros." Um, so ultimately, what you choose for your diet is based on all kinds of things, your own personal preferences, your budget, what's available to you in your area. You can go to Walmart and actually find a great options there and that totally fit your budget and fit any of these dietary patterns. That being said, how do you know what works for you? You don't unless you try it. You have to experiment. You have to try different eating styles. And ultimately, the one that you find the most palatable and the one that you're able to stick to is what's going to work best for you. So you don't necessarily need to be low carb or keto or vegetarian or whatever. You can pick all kinds of different things that work for you as long as you are sticking to it and as long as you are actually seeing results, right? You have to be losing weight. You have to be seeing improvements in your blood markers, lower blood glucose, lower blood pressure. So be honest with yourself. If you're on a particular diet, make sure that you are actually assessing yourself. A lot of people don't do that. A lot of people become very religious about the diet that they're eating, and that's such a fallacy. You really need to view your diet and your eating pattern as a tool to help improve your health. Some people get so wrapped up in what they're doing that even when they're seeing obvious detriment, like some people go on a vegan diet and they lose all this muscle mass and guys can't get it up anymore and their teeth are falling out of their head and they'll still stick to it to the point where some are even seeing some of these vegan influencers die because they're so religiously adherent to their diet that they can't break out of it. And at some point, that's just a eating disorder. So don't make it an eating disorder. View your diet as a tool. Don't become religious about it. Um, Again, ultimately, what you choose is about your own personal preference and what you enjoy. And all of these diets do one thing: they cut your calories because it is so easy to overeat in our culture. There's so much food available. For me in particular, I can overconsume carbs like crazy. So I stick to a low carb ketogenic diet because the other day I went out to a restaurant and there were green beans, half rack of ribs and mashed potatoes on the plate. I ate the green beans first, then the ribs to keep my blood sugar low, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to splurge a little bit. I'm going to have the mashed potatoes. I could barely get the very last bite of ribs down. I just barely. And I was full. I was satiated. But you know what? Those mashed potatoes are right there with butter on them. I was going to eat them. I polished those off, no problem. I could have kept going. I have no governor on the amount of carbs that I can eat. And that happens in our culture. There's so many carbs available, and there's a different satiety effect with carbohydrates. You can just generally eat as many until you're just stuffed full, almost throwing up. Where meat and fat tend to actually stop you. You kind of actually just get to the point where you're almost throwing up because you just can't eat any more meat. Um, but again, I've done that before. In the morning, I've had some beef and eggs and bacon or something, and get the very last bite of meat down, just kind of forcing it in. But then if you put a bowl of cereal or a bowl of oatmeal in front of me, I will polish that off no problem. So yes, it is about calories. Now, do you have to count calories? Maybe, maybe not. I like to track because I like having that much control over what I'm eating and how much I'm eating. And I use an app called Chronometer. Very, very great tool. Get a food scale. You measure out what you're eating. You measure out your lunches, your dinners, everything that you're eating, and you enter it into the app. And the app makes it very, very simple to calculate all your macros and calories. And you can have a very, very good control of your diet. This is what bodybuilders do, right? When they're trying to cut fat and they're getting ready for a show, they keep track, very, very close track of everything that they're eating because it gives them ultimate control. And, ultimately it's just about math, right? If you know your resting metabolic rate, which is there's plenty of calculators online to determine that. and you basically eat just a little bit above that to make up for, whatever other activity you're doing for the day and even some exercise, you will be in a caloric deficit and you will lose weight. It works. It's worked over and over again for many different types of people. Again, the type of diet that you eat ultimately is not all that important as long as you're able to stick to it, you enjoy it, and it's not making you sicker. You have to be honest with yourself. Is this making me better or worse? I've seen carnivore people where 8, 9, 10 months into the diet, they're losing hair. They've not really lost any weight. They feel worse. Or triglycerides are worse. It could be that they're eating too many calories. Possible. And some people just decide I'm going to pound down tons and tons of steak and butter, and they do terribly. Some people do the same thing and they do great. It's always about your own genetics and what works for you and your body. So always be honest if something is working for you or not, and always be willing to change it up. Diet is a tool. It is not a religion. It's not a tribe. Anyways, gonna keep this short. Have yourself a good day and go out there and do something for your health.